Organization is not my strength, but I just moved and everything is everywhere. But I can't do any of the projects I want to do until this room is set up. So we're going to organize and put together this new studio space. Welcome to my channel. My name's Alora, and I normally make clothes with challenges, art-inspired sewing, and experimenting and just seeing what happens. But I just moved, so we're going to do some house stuff as well. So this is where I'm at. So I've already painted in here. There used to be wallpaper just on this wall here, but I took it off. It was giving a little early 2000s vibes. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. Plus the old owner spackled the holes in the walls over the wallpaper, so it didn't look very good, and I didn't know what to do with it. I did not paint any of the trim. I just left it because I didn't feel like dealing with it, and I don't hate the brown. I am going to change the door though. I'm trying to get rid of all the gray. There was a lot of gray and brown in this house, and I'm trying to get rid of it all. Just brighten it up a little. I also have this IKEA PAX unit that I took from my parents' house, which is going to be my primary storage, if I can fit everything. And I have set up my desks in here. I don't know if this is how they're going to stay, or if they're all going to stay, or maybe I'll get something new eventually down the road, but for now this is what I have, and we're going to work with what I have. And I've also hung some curtains. So I got a little sidetracked. We had a lot to fix in this house before we could paint anything and set up the house. A lot of it was drywall repairing. And then we were able to paint everything, and I did the trim in a slightly darker, creamier color called Lime White from Benjamin Moore. I just wanted it to feel lighter and brighter, and I'll add color and pattern in later. I just wanted to get it livable at this point. So today I want to figure out what I actually need in here, where I want to put everything, what I need to maybe buy, pick up, or just find in the mess of this chaotic house right now. So right now this room and the room across the hall from it are acting as storage rooms while we work on the rest of the house, which has been a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. But we're getting there slowly. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the stuff that doesn't actually belong in here and find a home for it, or store it in the room next door. It's a little better in here. So basically I need the space to be functional for sewing and other creative stuff, watching YouTube videos when I should be working, you know, the usual. But I also want the space to feel inspiring and creative and cozy and just like a place I want to be, because I will spend a lot of time in here. I've been watching a lot of YouTube decorating channels. That's where my mindset is right now. My mindset is in house decorating, creating, fixing, not so much in sewing or singing or writing or anything else. So I'm just trying to work with where I'm at right now. But once we get this place together, maybe I'll feel a little more inspired. So, what do we need? What do we want? What are we doing? Problem here with it being an old house is that I have outlets down here that work, and then I have scary outlets over here that are only two-pronged and painted over. So those have to get changed out. Hopefully they work. In that case, I can put my sewing machine on this side, but ideally I would like my sewing machine and all that stuff over here. Maybe computer over here. So this room is a lot smaller than my old space, but I do have high ceilings in here. So I want to take advantage of height over width. You know? So I do have the really tall IKEA PAX unit, and then I want to do just like open wall shelving over here, maybe just two. So I need storage for fabric. We're not going to talk about how much fabric I have collected over the years, okay? Fabric. I have a lot of beading, embroidery, quite a large rhinestone collection for some reason. I do know the reason why, but it's surprisingly large. I have a lot of paint. Sort of just craft supplies, sewing books, art books, and stuff like that I would like to have out. Some of these are really heavy, so I don't know how I'm going to display them without the shelves falling down. We will think about that. So I'd like some place for books. I like books. I like looking at books. Books make me happy. And I was like, this isn't so bad. I feel like I'm missing a bunch of stuff, because I am missing a bunch of stuff. There's a whole other bin in there. There's a whole bin of fabric, and there's a whole bin of other stuff. I'm not a big fan of pegboards. I don't want to necessarily look at all my stuff, but I will think about it. I will think about the pegboard. Yeah, maybe I will buy a pegboard. Maybe I do want that. Maybe I want that studio vibe. I have a bulletin board somewhere. It's probably in the other room that I thought maybe I'd put on this wall. But like, I always buy bulletin boards and I never stick anything on them. What else? What else do we have? Then I have just filming equipment, and I think that's it. Okay. So after all that, this room became storage again while we painted the dining room this pretty sagey green with a darker olive trim, and I really love how it turned out. And then I decided to paint the trim in the studio. I used the same lime white paint which I used in the hall and in the main room to keep it easy. I couldn't figure out what was bothering me about the room, and as soon as I started priming it, it started to feel so much better. I tested out some leftover sample paint colors for the door, and I ended up going with a dark sagey green, which was one of the rejects for the dining room. Alright, so I'm finished painting in here and it feels so much better. I know it's just white, but brown again was like, found it really depressing. I don't know why. Really dark brown paint was on the trim throughout the entire house, and we painted over it everywhere else. And it felt so much better when we did. So with all my stuff in a much smaller room, I think I'm going to take everything out and put it across the hall in the dining room for now, and then bring stuff back in. Figure out what I want to keep, move, and get rid of. I really want to get this done. This has taken me about 3 months to get to this point. My goal is to get it done this week. No more adding on extra projects that I've been doing. I've been a little bit procrastinating with just adding on extra projects that I probably don't need to do this very second, but I've been doing it this very second. So we're not going to do that. We're going to focus. We're going to stay focused. Goal is to stay focused. All right, let's get this stuff out of here. All right, that's much better. I actually have room now to move and to think. So now what I'm going to do is just clean everything, because everything's covered in a layer of drywall dust from repairing drywall in the other room, and everything's just dusty forever and always. Alright, so now we're going to start bringing stuff in, but I'm going to do it in like groups. So like items with like items. I don't want to have to like lay everything out, like pile everything together and then bring it in. I just don't have the space. I don't have the floor space or the brain space to do that right now. So I'm going to just start by bringing stuff in that I know I'm keeping. Okay, so this is stuff that I know what it is. This is sort of like my main sewing stuff. And so is this. So, okay. Yarn. I don't know. Markers, yes. You know what? I think I'm going to have to group things together. I thought I could get away with it, but I don't think I can. Let the piles commence. You know that feeling when you find a cable, but you can't remember what it's for? My box. I feel like I haven't seen all this stuff for so long. It's been such a long time. My little box of sewing needles and stuff that I always kept on my desk. I missed you. Now we'll move on to the big container. The big container. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just very excited to see all my stuff again. Alright, we got one bin done, and a bunch of piles on the floor. I'm actually feeling a little better about everything. I was feeling kind of overwhelmed and avoiding this. As you may have figured, I've been avoiding this because it's been 3 months of avoiding this. Anyway, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better. Okay, welcome to the awkward corner. So I'm going to start by putting stuff in this thing here that I've had forever. Stuff that I know goes in here and that I want to put in here. This is a bag of all the beads that I have, and I'm going to put them here. So there's already loose beads just hanging out down here. So the embroidery stuff as I have it, basically just in a pile, doesn't fit in here. So I'm probably going to come back to that. I've kind of hit a bit of a roadblock because I don't know what to do now. So I'm going to leave the little drawer thing for now, and I'm going to move on to the big drawer thing. Okay, so I think my plan is I'm going to designate the bottom 3 drawers for fabric and leave it at that, and anything extra can go somewhere else in the house. And then stuff that I use more often here, and stuff that I don't use very often up here. We'll see how this works. Alright, so I have this box here of just random stuff. Sewing machine manual that I don't think I own anymore. This was my first sewing machine. 30-day embroidery challenge. If you've been here since then, thank you. The glitter. If you've seen that video, confetti. More confetti. Oh no! Tiny rhinestones that I accidentally bought that are now, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. More confetti. Okay, we got paints. Do I need a separate container for paint? I don't think I do. I think I can just throw it in. Or do I paint and other stuff? What do I do? So right now my goal is just to get stuff put away, and we'll make it pretty later. The goal is just to put stuff in a spot, make it nice later. So to make the shelf, I picked up a piece of wood and brackets from Home Depot and used some leftover stain to stain it, and I also sealed it. And then I found a man to help me hang it up, found the studs and screwed it into place so it'll be nice and sturdy. It was pretty easy and inexpensive to do. So today we're tackling the fabric. So I'm just going to go through everything and see what I actually have and what I want to keep and what I want to get rid of. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with this bottom drawer. A lot of this is just kind of old stuff that I had. Some of it from like when I was a kid. Just stuff that never got dealt with. So we're going to deal with it now. Like my skating dress from when I was a kid. This was like one of my favorite dresses though. I wore it all the time. No, we're not trying it on. I think I'm just gonna have to start putting stuff in now. I'm gonna try to keep similar fabrics together, so like cottons with cottons, satins with satins, jersey knit with jersey knit, the best I can. Cottons. Christmas wrapping paper. This was used to hold wrapping paper. I know there's different ways you can organize fabric, like you can have them all like stacked, like this. I just don't have the desire to do that. I hate folding stuff. I hate folding clothes. I hate folding towels. I hate folding bed sheets. I hate folding fabric things. I don't want to fold it. I dislike it very much. So I'm just not going to attempt doing something like that. Okay? Got a lot of this. This is faux suede. I got this fabric so long ago and I love it so much. It's like a stretch crinkly velvet and I have no idea what to make with it. So if you have any ideas of what to make with a stretch crinkly velvet, please let me know. Unless I've stored fabric somewhere else that I've forgotten about, I think we did it. I think it's done. I tried to organize it, sort of, the best I could by like fabric type. Alright, so that was the part that I was dreading the most, and it really wasn't that bad. In my head it seemed like I had way more than I actually did. But this bin is now empty, as are all the other bins, so let's continue on. So I went to IKEA and got some clear bins with lids. That way I can see what's in there because I'm very much out of sight, out of mind, and I'll forget that I have things. I also did end up picking up a pegboard from IKEA. I was unsure if I'd like it or not, but I feel like this is going to be pretty handy. So I finished the small set of drawers. I used some drawer inserts to put things like needle threaders, safety pins, fasteners, and various types of adhesives. And then in another drawer, sketchbooks and office supply type things. For the rest of the books, I ended up putting them in the bookcase in the dining room. Some of them are big and really heavy, so this ended up being the best place for them. I also ended up putting my computer on my nice desk in the technically dining room. So now you know where all my stuff is. I still have yet to sort out the embroidery thread. So I'm just making some labels for the bins that I have. So I think I'm gonna leave it here. Everything has a home now, and I'm just gonna let it evolve over time into what works and into what doesn't work. I did overestimate the amount of storage that I was gonna need. I didn't need as much as I thought, and some things are gonna get returned. So throughout this process, I really learned to value my creative space. Before, I would sort of cheap out on it and not really care about it. Cared a little bit, but there was no intention in it. Everything was messy. Nothing had a home. It was mostly piles of stuff in a closet. And I'm sure this place will get messy too, just knowing who I am as a person. But it almost felt like the space didn't matter that much. And I really learned to value it and care about it and put the effort in. And I really think your environment does affect you. I know it really does for me. And I'm pretty happy with how everything has turned out. And now it's time to get to work.